Welcome everybody to our breakfast session this morning. We'll also have this on social media later to watch or share. So thanks for coming by, spending time with us. You could have been anywhere else this morning and chose to be here with us. So thank you for joining us. Just a quick introduction. I'm Tony Staires. I'm sales director here at Lawo. I handle a lot of our house of worship projects. So I've worked alongside these guys for quite a while. And man, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming to the show and agreeing to do this. I'm gonna do a quick introduction of yourself, kind of who you are, what you do.
Of course. My name is Aldo Juarez. I am the audio director at Lakewood Church, and been there for audio-wise about 8 years. So yeah, it's great.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Díaz. I'm front of house engineer at Lakewood Church. And have over 15 years of experience doing this, and I also do some studio work as well.
Hey, I'm Ethan Henley at Crossroads Church in Cincinnati, and been doing this like 20 years.
What do you do at Crossroads Church?
I'm broadcast audio engineer. Right. Yeah.
Great. Tell us a little bit about Crossroads, and we'll come back, to Lakewood. Tell us, about the church, campuses, kind of style, kind of what are you doing?
Yeah. Crossroads is like a 9-site, kind of sleeper build. It's like no one's ever heard about it. It's like the biggest church you've never heard of. Huge production kind of ideology, wanting to use every tool that's available to get the message of Jesus out. And so they had me come in and kind of revitalize broadcast, bring it to whatever is cutting edge.
So for people that don't know about Lakewood, can you tell us a little bit about church, kind of where you're at, what do you do?
Sure. Yeah. So we're based in Houston, Texas. We've probably heard Lakewood Church. We're probably the biggest church name out there. So our operation is just one campus. We don't do multi-site. So it's just we're concentrated on one building. Our auditorium is about 16,000 seats. We don't fill it to capacity, unless it's like a very special event. I've only seen it to capacity, I think, one time since I've been there. But I think average attendance could be like probably between 3 services, 20, maybe 15 to 20.
Large broadcast presence, right?
Huge broadcast presence, yeah. So our building is probably much more of a like live studio space than it is a church. So we concentrate a lot on broadcast. The product that goes out is definitely what drives the infrastructure at Lakewood.
So high value on kind of what you're putting out there. And
100%.
Great. So, obviously we're talking about audio. We did some audio projects with both of you guys. Tell us about your audio setup prior to Lawo, and then we'll talk about your system that we
Sure.
together.
So we monitors, broadcast, front of house had Studer consoles. Studers were great, sounded great. So when it came time to upgrade, you can say, the general consensus on our behalf wasn't really like, man, we need something that sounds better than Studer. Like Studer signs were already great. So from our perspective, it was just what's going to give us the most flexibility, the better space to work with what we need. And so after looking at, a bunch of different brands, we just landed on Lawo, and it made sense. So
it's great. Tell us about your setup, where you came from.
Yeah,
it's great.
We were for the last two and a half years. We've been on a Pro Tools rig, pre-recording service, and we had a Thursday service. We would post mix that, pay someone else outside of our org to mix it down. And about August last year, our CTO came and said, "Hey, I want us to have the best broadcast experience possible." And so I just looked at what my favorite and the most engaging, memorable performances and experiences I've seen on TV, and almost all of them have had a Lawo behind everything. So
yeah, that's what was interesting. Is like you kind of went out and did your own research. And it's like, what are even outside of the church, what is the larger broadcast world doing?
Yeah,
and what are they using? And then you're like, yeah, I want to take a look at that.
Yeah, but it's unmatched.
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, with you guys, we started a relationship, you guys had some experience with Lawo a little bit on your team, and then kind of made decisions like, hey, we should at least entertain it,
Yeah.
you know, and figure out if it's a fit for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So our current boss does a lot of outside broadcast work, and he was super familiar with the Lawo product. He was very much a big favor of Lawo, but didn't want to push it on us like, hey, this is what we need to do. He kind of just let us decide as a team collectively. And again, I feel like, and you could probably speak more into this, but we had an idea of what it would be going into it. And I think post, it's gotten better. So the actual like flexibility that the system provides, the way we have it, it's I don't think that we saw it like that initially.
Was there a deciding factor maybe, Luis, of like, because you guys collectively made a decision. It wasn't like one person going, this is what we do, love it or leave it. You guys kind of got together. Was there something for you that like clicked and we're like, this is the solution?
I think there was a lot of factors. Sonics for sure. That was one of the things. But we've spoken about it. We spoke about it, and Sonics was kind of left on the side because we knew that Sonics were there. We were very concentrated in having a stable system because we can't go down.
Right.
That cannot happen. So we were sure that Lawo was going to give us that. And also, something that's really important to me is how future-proof the solution will be. And that's something we found in Lawo. You guys are always bringing new stuff, trying to push the needle, like, all right, what can we do? How can we make this better? And we really like that. And yeah, it's been actually surprising to see like, oh, there's a new feature coming up and we're going to have it in X amount of time.
So Ethan, maybe give us like your setup. What did you wind up going with from the Lawo solution? You know, how did you get there? Things like that.
Absolutely. We wound up with an MC Squared 96. After kind of evaluating all the consoles, we hired in a broadcast truck with a 56. We got a demo 36. For us, having as much control available at our fingertips at any given moment is high priority, especially because eventually we're looking to be able to have volunteers. We already have had contractors come through and operate, and being able to say it's right here instead of it's on this menu was this big factor.
So the experience is good. So MC Square 96.
Yeah.
Home apps, DSP.
Yep. Home apps. Got
IO.
a couple of A stages, a couple of A mic 8s. Super flexible, and I mean it's been like that easy to integrate into a existing crazy chaotic system.
Yeah, and network, Netgear backbone.
Oh yeah.
It's worked well.
Yeah. It's been flawless.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. Maybe talk a little bit about the solution at Lakewood and kind of fairly large system.
Yeah, we did a network-based, so it's the Arista backbone. All the consoles talk through that, and again, the flexibility that we get from just having the power cores where we need them, and the cards that can get on the power cores to us is just unmatched. Anywhere that we have a fiber access point in our building, we can drop a power core and we got audio there.
So we did front of house monitors and broadcast with you guys. So I think obviously, you have some experience in monitors, done quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things we get questions about is like, obviously you got broadcast covered. What are the other workflows like? How is that adjustment? And you guys went from even personal monitor mixers to now full,
everybody
board mix.
more like a touring setup.
So
So the one of the things that really sold us also when we're looking at other consoles, any other console you have, you're going to get the workflow the way it is, and you have to adapt yourself to that workflow, right? So insert whatever brand here, you give that workflow, you have to make it work for you. With the Lawo, we were able to customize it to the point where, like, our monitor guy likes a certain brand of console, and he likes when he pushes this button, this happens. And it was, as easy as like, hold on, code it. There you go, push the button, it does it. Front of house, so all the monitors, we have the same surface. We have MC Squared 56 at all three spaces, but all three of them operate differently, kind of to the taste of each engineer, which was awesome. You won't get that from any other brand.
I thought what was cool with you guys, we started in the conversation with, redundancy was obviously a high factor.
Yeah.
We started with redundant UHD cores at every position. So essentially 6 UHD cores. And then in the end, home app stuff came along and we were actually able to reduce the hardware count, but even give you higher availability, resiliency within the home apps. Because the way we designed it, in the end, you have 3 servers that are running, each server essentially is running a console.
Yeah.
Correct.
But each server has the capacity to hold all 3 consoles.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you essentially have triple redundancy.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know,
so we have 6 servers, 3 of them to host DSP, and 3 of them to host home apps. So yeah, ultimate resiliency, redundancy, and I think all the consoles at any time can run on one home app server and one DSP server, which is cool. We've had one server go down just like with power failure reboot. It just kicked over to the other one. We lost no lighting. So it's incredible.
So how was the process of you guys going to a new solution? How was it work? How is it working with us? Do you like us? Is it good? Is it good? You know?
I mean, there's always worse, you know? I'm kidding. No, honestly, it's been great. Everyone in the team. It's adding to that first question, like what was important for us?
Yeah, that's
something
great.
that I really feel that was also a driving factor was how surrounded we felt since the very beginning. So, Tony, you were there all the time, but also the entire Lawo team. So during the demo, we had Bryce, we had Seth, we had Browning, and they were all there trying to walking us through the entire ecosystem. Also answering of questions, but also coding those features like, hey, what if the console do this? How can we make this happen? And Browning was like, yeah, let me think about it. 5 minutes. All right, the console now does that. Like, that was mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for those that don't know, we have the ability to extract our control layer from the operating system, and though we can do some custom scripting in order to manipulate workflows to maybe bring about something that feels more comfortable and fast for you, or something you're more familiar with. So we're not building a new console on the fly and scripting that together, but it's really
Workflow.
using those, control hooks within the system to build essentially some custom or unique workflows that just help you out in the end.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I don't want people to get the idea where like we're built, we're on site and we're just coding this thing together, but it's unique. It's when I was a Lawo customer, that was something that was very impressive to me. It was like, hey, what about this? And it's like, oh yeah, that exists in the system. We can just need to build a workflow for it.
Yeah.
So, and those live outside of updates. So like you can do an update, it doesn't affect the workflow. So that's awesome. So yeah, I mean, talk a little bit about the experience, because you were a bit unique too, that like, before we integrated the solution, we kind of needed to get you up and running.
Yeah.
So maybe talk a little bit about that. And so you got familiar pretty quick.
Yeah.
And breezed through Lawo Academy and talk about that.
Yeah, I was very hungry to get onto Lawo, and so I read the manual, reread it, and hopped in Lawo Academy. Got all the ran the training like a couple of times just to get as familiar with it as possible, and then hired in a broadcast truck for our biggest event of the year, where we have a bunch of land and we do like a revival out there, and it's like, I don't know, 15,000 people on 800 acres of land. It's crazy. But so I just like jumped in with basically having never touched the console. And it was great. Fast forward to us, finally making a purchase. You guys were able to get us a demo console while we were waiting on our console to be built, because we had a really crazy timeline, and how church stuff can be, budgets and
The weekend comes every week.
yeah, right. It comes up fast, and so I was well taken care of there. Like they said, I was thinking earlier, it feels like you have family members who are like, oh, my uncle's a genius with this, or my cousins. Oh, you just call your cousin for that.
Uncle Tony.
Everyone's
Uncle Tony.
It's like family. It's this crazy mixture of extremely professional and proficient, and then also just so relatable and down to earth. And it just feels like we've known each other for a long time. So I was able to quickly get spun up, get some custom things taken care of, and once we finally got our console is like they said, Browning hops in and,
This
it's,
is the
it's
wizardry.
great 'cause, I've asked all these questions. What if it could do this? What about this? And they're like, they've never looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You have. But yeah, it's been incredible. And, Force Tech got us integrated. Because you guys kind of did some
We
self-integrated.
Self-integrated,
Yeah. I had Force Tech come and help us get set up, and we went live from a demo console to a full install 2 weeks before Easter, and
It's amazing. I
Flawless.
and you guys were kind of leading up to Easter as well.
Yeah, ours was interesting too. So when we first started talking about this project, we thought we were going to have an entire week to swap over from Sunday afternoon to Saturday. About
Yeah.
2 or 3 months before we were like, okay, this is going to happen, they decided to add a midweek service.
Yeah.
On Wednesday. So now our time is cut from Sunday to we got to be ready by Wednesday. The caveat there is that we don't stream Wednesday, so we didn't have to have broadcast up by Wednesday. It was all just front of house and monitors. That was the goal. But literally Sunday afternoon, after our last service, I had an army with us, tore out old infrastructure. Monday, finished the tear out, started putting things in place. We were making noise by Tuesday, I think.
Yeah.
So Tuesday afternoon, we were consoles in place, making noise, and then we were actually ready to go by Wednesday. The first service was interesting just because, again, from a different workflow perspective, we had to excuse ourselves to everybody. Hey, this is going to be a little different. We apologize ahead of time, but everybody was awesome about it. So
You guys made a great choice when we kind of started talking about the project and what to do and how to roll it out, knowing we had some tight deadlines to meet. You were like, we're going to stand up the network offline. We're going to then kind of stand up the servers.
I think it was like 6 weeks before.
Yeah, it was
Like 6 weeks before you guys
6
came
weeks
in,
before. Correct.
stood up the network. Network was fine. Then we got the consoles
For a
in
month.
their appropriate room. So we had 2 front of house consoles for 4 weeks, 2 monitor desks for 4 weeks, 2 broadcast consoles for 4 weeks. That gave us about 4 weeks to build show files, titles, the whole thing. So we didn't have to start from scratch when we did it, that swap over. So the way that we did it, I think, was great because we didn't have to start from zero on that Tuesday with Sonics. It was already pre-built.
Yeah, speak to that. What's new? What feels different? Any comments on the system since
You
swap
operated
over?
more, so
How does leadership feel? What are your thoughts since then? You've had it for a couple months at this point.
Well, I got to say that from the very beginning, everyone's been speaking about it. Everyone's been vocal about it. It's been like a night and day difference. So honestly, every day to me feels like new because even though I'm already familiar and I can, move around the console pretty fast, I'm still discovering new things about the console. So in that regard I got to say it's a brand new day every day. It's a new opportunity to discover something new about the ecosystem, about everything we do.
yeah.
I mean, if it comes like a crazy idea, all right, we want to do this, and there's a new product, how we integrate that. The fact that it's like, oh yeah, we'll do it this way because the console will allow us, or the entire ecosystem will allow us to do it this way, and we'll just send it to every console through Ravenna, through homes and through home and everything. So it's super cool that we feel like, all right, we have a very robust system that will allow us to bring anything.
Yeah, and I want to speak to this about you. I remember coming in as we were kind of switching things over, and how much you had educated yourself on the solution and doing the Lawo Academy, doing the manual. So just like Ethan, and it was impressive. Because a lot of times you may walk in and it's just kind of like people are waiting for you. You took the initiative, which I was completely impressed by. And so, we even say that it's like Luis is the expert. So it's been amazing.
He's a whole maps guy.
Ethan, like anything since putting the solution in that you're like, what's been noticed? It hasn't been noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. I mean, I've had a lot of folks come and talk about how much more together everything sounds. We were, for the beginning of the year before we got the loaner console, we were running Pro Tools, and I have all kinds of tools to try to get things right, but it was a different preamps. And the difference when we switched over, I had a bunch of people reach out and just like, what's going on? And then I've subsequently had someone work to post mix something from a weekend, and they were like, man, I felt good about where I was. And then I pulled up the mix. I was like, oh crap, I still got some ways to go to beat this, and just so it's been just better and better same kind of thing.
I know we can't speak completely to the project, but you can maybe vaguely talk about, you just cut a record.
Oh yeah.
On a Lawo.
Yeah. I flew out to Montana and recorded an album with Kim Walker Smith. His producer Benjamin Corporal hit me up and was like, hey, I need you to come out and engineer this record, and I need it to sound great. What kind of gear do we need? And we talked through a bunch of options, because it's like, flying out a bunch of studio gear to Montana is kind of a weird, difficult thing. And so I was like, hey, actually, since I've kind of got to run monitors for the band too, what if instead of trying to do this through Pro Tools, we did it from a console? And I was like, I think I can get my hands on a Lawo, with pre's and everything. And we were all floored with how it sounds. So it's incredible.
Yeah, we'll look forward to the release. I mean,
Yeah.
That's exciting. Anything future with Lawo that you're thinking about? Like, what's long term? I mean, obviously you just got up and going. Like, you obviously kind of built things in a way to hopefully scale and maybe do some other things. I mean, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm looking to hopefully expand some of our use across the campus. There's so many solutions for audio and video. So there's some things that I'm hoping we can kind of employ.
Some dynamic automation, maybe add that to the workflow.
Yeah. We've been talking about some VSM and just like, how can we make some of the things we're doing are really complex, and most people touch them with a bit of fear and trembling. And so we're trying to figure out, just everything that I've dealt with Lawo, even though it's extremely complex under the hood, has been, I was able to go from, we had a major week, Super Bowl week, we do a huge service. We have 6 live hosts and all this stuff. I went from Pro Tools to Lawo that week, and it was from zero, like absolute zero. and so it's like, even though it's really has a ton of depth, it's really easy to kind of get working. And so I want to bring that to the rest of our stack.
So then on the Lakewood side, obviously there was the console project. You had some gear that had aged out, putting a new system in, but we did that with like the future in mind of like, okay, there's next steps here at Lakewood. Can you speak to that and cut out,
Sort of. I mean, I'm definitely more on the audio side than anything, but I think the integration from the audio to video world, we kind of set the framework, the groundwork for that to be a thing in the future. I think, hopefully that will be something that will happen for us, is you guys will go in the video world for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously we'd hope you land on the Lawo solution for video, but obviously we just set you down a path of 2110 and knowing that, next steps are certainly easy.
Yeah. So that's when you talk about future proofing, again, solutions second to none in that regard.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other comments that you feel like, you want to tell the world?
No, I mean, for us, if anybody's interested and ever in Houston, man, please hit us up. We'd love to host you, and you guys come look at our facility and check out the consoles. So anytime. Yeah.
Ethan?
Yeah, same deal. Come out to Cincinnati, which is surprisingly great. I don't know. Ohio doesn't sound amazing, but Cincinnati's awesome.
Just don't eat the chili. That's all I'm saying. I'm in Texas. I think the chili's better.
Chili. Yeah, it's not chili. It's something
come to
else.
Houston.
Yeah, come to Houston.
Come to Houston.
Great food cities. I'm always happy to join, and you guys have been great. Again, thanks for joining us here. Just kind of sharing the love of what you did.
Of course.
I mean, I can't say speak highly enough of you guys and your teams, and it's been great just kind of getting to know you guys, working on projects together, and we're just looking for just more collaboration in the future. And again, thanks for offering to host people. That's incredible.
Of course,
so,
yeah.
Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Again, grab some coffee, grab some donuts. And have a great day. Thanks.
Yes.
Guys.